intrigued about knowing more about the relationship, because he did a lot for Heifetz. They worked together a lot. So if you
Yes, they met in the 1930s. Unfortunately, I don't know who introduced them. It could have been Rudy Polk, who at that time was Heifetz's manager, sort of road man and body man, I guess you'd call him today, who traveled with Heifetz on tours, because they both knew each other. And maybe that was the connection, but maybe not. I don't know. But it started out socially, and they would sail together. Uncle Jascha had a big sailboat, and he used to invite friends to join him on cruising around, Catalina Island and down to Mexico. It was really a special time in California in the 1930s. And then it turned professional in the 40s, where Heifetz made a recording of the Bach Double Concerto, which Father conducted for him. And the reason this recording is really interesting is that Heifetz played both parts. So he recorded the first part, and then he played back to himself. And I think that was the first time that was done electronically. So that was the first recording. And then came the film Humoresque, which was produced in 1945. And Heifetz was signed by Warner Brothers to play the violin part on the soundtrack. Heifetz found out after he signed the contract that Misha Elman was actually getting more money than he was for some film in England. So he sent Rudy Polk into Warner Brothers and said, I hope you understand, Mr. Heifetz actually has to get more money for personal reasons. Didn't explain why. And Jack Warner threw up his hands, called my father in and said, forget Heifetz, find me some kid.
Oh, no.
So Rudy Polk knew about Isaac Stern, and he was giving a recital. So the Polks and the Waxmans took the train to San Francisco to hear Isaac Stern, and they hired him on the spot. And it was the first time that he really made serious money. So he was signed to play all the pieces that Heifetz was supposed to play. Heifetz remained interested in Carmen, Tristan, love music, all the pieces that Father had arranged, and started to, give his input. So what's on the Humoresque soundtrack and what Heifetz ultimately recorded after the premiere in Carnegie Hall are two very different pieces, because they had a year to think about what should go into this final product. And Heifetz, as I mentioned, premiered Carmen in Carnegie Hall on the Bell Telephone Hour radio show. And Donald Voorhees was the conductor. And the next day, they went to the Yale Club up on 66th Street and 5th, and they recorded it. And that's the famous recording. First time it was actually available. And that recording, by the way, has never been out of print. The relationship continued. There was the traditional New Year's Eve party, and on for the New Year's Eve of 1947, ushering in 1948, the Auld Lang Syne variations were composed. And Emanuel Bay, who, as you know, was Heifetz's accompanist, played the piano part. Gregor Piatigorsky was the cellist, and Virginia Majewski played the viola. So that is the history of the piece.